Got one. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another exciting episode of PB Outdoors. Today we're out going for some big stock trout here, early ice, so stay tuned to see what we can do. Alright guys, we're just sitting up here, gonna put the jaw jacker in this hole here. Yeah, jaw jacker's just got a little tungsten, kind of a slider rig we have going on it. Little tungsten on one end, and little tungsten there, and a little chartreuse and green wireworm. Chartreuse and green has been working really well the last little bit, so we're gonna put the jig and jaw jacker in. These things are awesome. I would highly recommend them for upping your number of fish catches when you go out. They definitely seem to help you catch more fish because never stops fishing. So yeah, and then just get yourself a nice rod with I like a slower action rod for the jaw jacker, because the more bend you have in the rod, the better chance you'll keep the fish pinned while you're running over to get the hook. Slider rig, and about a foot above it is the little I like to pull my line out of my rod just so it checks your drag while you drop them down. And then with the jig and jaw jacker, we've got a couple different wheel options. For trout, I really like this wiggle wheel here. It's just got little bumps on it. Works really well. When the fish, especially when the fish aren't super crazy active, I find it really good then. And then on the end of the rod, you just have, I use a little bit of braided line because I like that better than the stuff it comes with, personally. And then for trout, I like my trigger set pretty light for the most of the time. And then I'm going to put the first one about a little off the bottom, and the second one just a little higher than that. And just make sure you don't lean over it too much when you're setting it, because if it goes off accidentally, that'll hurt like a bugger. So now, let's go to my other hole here and get fishing. So I'll show you what I'm using today. Little tungsten with a little trout egg on it. Pull your drag out of your rod. You can test your drag while you bring your lure down. Make sure it's good where it's at when you're fishing. You don't have to worry about setting into a fish if I'm working. Got one. Hooked up. Hooked up here. Got a trout. Nice. Just dropped down that little tungsten with the egg. Lifted him off the bottom a little bit. And yeah, got one on. Feels like a decent fish. It's hard to say though sometimes with this light rod. You can see my rod is completely folded over here, like completely folded in half. And that is so key for keeping these trout pinned with this barbless hook, because when that fish head shakes, it doesn't fully unload the rod. Oh, just a little guy. Just a nice Alberta trout right there. That little tungsten is right in the front of his mouth there. Barbless hook pops right out. Got himself wrapped up in it a little. There you are. Beautiful Alberta stock trout right there. And we're gonna let that guy go here. Gonna let him go right down the hole here. And there he goes. Right on. First fish of the day. That didn't take too long. Let's try and get another one here. What I'm using here is just a little trout egg, and or salmon egg, whatever. It's by the Pazuki brand. Their actual trout or salmon eggs. They stink, make your hands stink, and they're gross, but they do seem to help catch fish, especially when they're a little bit finicky. And that's why I really like them a lot. Pull that line out of your rod, then you know what's there. I was only about 8 or so inches off bottom there, maybe 10, and that fish came up. I just lifted him ever so slightly, barely moving my hook, and he just bit so gentle. I'd recommend a spring tip for these finicky fish, but I actually lost mine, so I don't have it with me right now. It just got set up when that fish bit, so that's my bad. We're fishing in this little basin here, about There's a drop off over here to my left where the jawjacker is, you saw, and then it comes into this big basin here. It's about 8.5 to 9 feet deep in the middle, and the fish kind of just roam around looking for food. Lots of weeds on the bottom in here, so lots of insects, especially this time of year. Early ice, I really like to target those spots that had weed growth in the summertime, because that's where the first ice food is going to be, where you left it off in the fall. So biggest tip, if you caught fish there in the fall, go back to that spot early ice, and I'm not going to guarantee you anything, but I bet you can catch some fish there. That's what I like to do. Yeah. So yeah, let's see if we can get some more. I like to lift, 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 and then let it fall. I really like that method. And then you let it fall, and then sometimes that brings a fish in, because I find lots of times they come in right after the fall. So sometimes that's key to getting those fish. And another key thing for these fish is using light line. Lots of times in these clear bodies of water is I'm using 4-pound fluorocarbon main line all the way through with a tight line reel and a medium light rod. The rod bends all the way through into the handle, and that's so key, like you just saw, for keeping those fish pinned when they shake their heads. Especially rainbows, they're known for fighting pretty hard and stuff, so I really like that for rainbow trout. This is a VMC tungsten jig with Trigger X baits, 1-inch minnow bait. I'll show you the package here. It's kind of folded in half here. But this is what it was on, is a Trigger X bait. Just a little 1-inch white pearl minnow. It's got a really nice little finesse tail action. And I really like that for these trout, because sometimes they just barely want to see it moving. They don't want to see it moving too much, and if you just can lift them up and just barely tap your rod, sometimes they'll hit it then. So hopefully we can get some more here in this hole, and if not, maybe do some more hole hopping here. I got a couple more holes drilled out this way. My brothers are out today too, so we'll see if one of them can hook into a fish. Another tip here for especially early ice and pretty much all year, no matter what you're using, is I like to have the sonar, because I like to fish aggressive when I know there's no fish around. When I know there's no fish around, I'll give it 2-3 foot hops, go up the stairs all the way to the top of the ice, try to attract a fish. It doesn't really matter if you're not going to spook a fish by, oh, we got a mark here. Oh, jawjacker. We got another fish here on the jawjacker. Yeah. Oh, that's a beauty. Wow, that's a nice fish. That was just on that little tungsten there. And look at this fish, guys. Look how pretty this thing is. Beautiful Alberta stock trout right there. You want to get the release, Abel? Try to get the release. Point them towards the hole. Here he goes, back down the hole. Let him go, let him grow. Nice. Awesome fish. Alright. That was just on this little slider rig here. He was on this bottom one. Just a little tungsten jig tipped with an egg. Another tip for you guys is don't leave your rods down your hole. I've lost too many rods to do it. So if you're going to do something like fix your jawjacker, reset it, pull your rod up. It's a good idea. You don't want a fish to come and get that hook stuck, and you also don't want to lose your rod. So it's kind of a win-win, even though both ways, even though it's kind of a pain in the butt, but I would recommend doing that. Alright guys, thanks for watching this episode of VB Outdoors, and always please like and subscribe for more content, and we're going to be trying to get some, oh, here's a fish. Fish, 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 fish. Uh-oh. That always happens to me. Every single time. Why does that always happen? That one probably bit too, the way he came up to the hook like that. That's annoying. I hate when that happens to me. Okay, let's try that again. Alright guys, thanks for watching this episode of VB Outdoors, and always like and subscribe for more content. It really helps out the channel and gets more content out to you guys. Hoping to film some walleye, pike, and whitefish videos this year, and always tight lines.